It's time for a real fake news update, not brought to you by Pfizer. Today, we're going to look at the Bernie AOC, as they call it, the tour they started this past weekend. It's called Fight the Oligarchy. And we hate to break it to you guys, but this tour, the Fight the Oligarchy tour, is all DNC theater and mainstream media theater as well. So let's look at how it's been covered. We'll show you guys, this is the flyer. This is the thing that kicked it off. Fighting Oligarchy. Great looking flyer. Very cool. It kind of reminds me of the Bernie days, back when we would see something like this and get really excited. When Bernie would take to the streets back in 2015, 2016, even in 2020, we were excited. We were excited if he was going at it again, giving it a second try. But you know what they say, guys. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. Well, as George W. said once, you can't get fooled again. So let's look at the coverage of the Fighting the Oligarchy tour, Bernie and AOC. This is MSNBC giving us their spin. And I'm going to tell you guys what they're up to, because you're going to have to read between the lines on this one. Here we go.
Talking about what Democrats are up to. Judy, Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez are on the road. They were in Denver today. They drew a crowd. According to Bernie Sanders, there was 34,000 people. What's your take on the reaction they're getting?
I think the Democrats are desperate for someone with balls to go out there.
I'm pretty sure Alexandria doesn't have any, literally.
Well, I'm going to say figurative.
Okay.
As only a comedian can say.
I don't know if I don't personally think they're the best messengers, but they're the only ones out there doing this. And it's mind-boggling to me. We have Chuck Schumer with we're gonna fight. We're gonna fight.
Avocados are expensive. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, just stop it there. You guys, this language should sound familiar to you. This is what they've been selling us. This is a scam. This is a scam trying to sell us on the fact that there's incompetence going on in Congress. And because people like Bernie and AOC are the only ones that know how to get out in the streets and have great presentation and bringing back that Obama flair from 2007, 2008, they're able to get the young people, get people excited. No one else is capable. So they're giving them the shout out that they know how to do this, but no one else knows how to do it. So we have to go with them. The reason that language is important is because they're setting up the conversation that Bernie and AOC are extreme radical lefties, and we have to figure out how to bring them back to the center. That's a complete hoax, guys. There is no radical left in our political system. It doesn't exist. Bernie and AOC are right-wing Democrats. That's what they are. They all are. It's a matter of how far right have they gone. They're both neocons. They both fund a proxy war in Ukraine. They both, neither of them stand up to the genocide. They sometimes give little word lip service, but they don't do it. They still support the policies of funding Israel. So you have those things. And then you have this hijacking of the labor movement. They never show up to labor organizing until after the fact. They say a few things. Sometimes they don't show up at all. They don't even mention it. And so we've seen that paper trail. So there's time and time again, Bernie and AOC don't do the things that the left wants. So they're deliberately lying to us on MSNBC, telling us that this is a radical left movement and that they're concerned. They're concerned that we got to get back to the middle. If you want to really get the country excited, you got to get back to the middle, which is total garbage. And you guys know that. But let's hear how they sum this up. Again, this is planting a seed that there's a radical, extreme left-wing agenda going, and it's all we got until we don't have it. Bernie and AOC their job is to sheep herd us and pretend to make the people believe that there's an actual movement going on and fighting the oligarchy when they are part of the oligarchy, which it takes a while to figure it out, but we figured it out. You can't unsee it once you see it. Here's the rest of this clip.
And then we have, they're very progressive. They're very left. I think a lot of Democrats are not very left.
Look at this comedian talking about very, very left. What is very, very left? What does that mean? We're just taking your word for it. It's hilarious to me that I can't believe we fell for this so long. There's no very, very, very left. What does that mean? What are you talking about?
And I know I'm not. And
Most countries in the middle.
Most the country's in the middle.
In the middle. And so I don't think they're the right messengers, but they're the only ones doing it. So what? People are angry, Stephanie.
People are angry. People are angry, and they're angry at the Democratic Party. I wish that they would connect the dots. Well, obviously their job is not to do the connecting of the dots. It's our job to do that. We have to connect our own dots. We got to do our own research, as we always say on the show. The people that were angry that joined the Trump MAGA movement, a lot of them former Democrats. The whole MAGA movement, the RFK Jr. and Tulsi movement was about because they were angry at the Democratic Party's inability. We used to think it was their just ineffectiveness because they lacked the skills or they were just bad at their jobs. That's also a con job, guys. That's a con job. They're not bad at their jobs. They're good at making us think that incompetence is the problem when they're deliberately working against us, deliberately working on behest of the people. The only people that matter are the Israel backers, the Israel lobby. AIPAC is the only thing that matters, and big pharma investment in every single one of these people. They're all on the same side. They're all against us, and they pretend that they're fighting each other. That's all it is. It's all one big scam. Let's hear how our friends, the ladies on The View, respond to this. It's very similar verbiage. You guys got to get used to hearing these little nuggets of verbiage that are supposed to get you to think that there's this radical movement going on the left. Ooh, Bernie and AOC, so radical.
To be wanting to continue to take this. Are you getting that feeling that people are starting to get?
Absolutely. And I've noticed it a lot, like in the last month, in the last 6 weeks. I think that when Trump first won, there was a lot of uncertainty. Now people understand, you were always making this point, what they are fighting. And people are thirsty, desperate to hear somebody that gives them fire, that leads them into this fight, that channels their anger and their frustration. They want to hear from those people. That's why Bernie Sanders and AOC are getting 34,000 people to show up to a rally in Denver, 15,000 people to show up to a rally in Phoenix. I mean, think about this. They're not running. This is not an election year. This is 2 months into the Trump administration, and they are getting tens of thousands of people because people want to fight, and they want somebody that will lead them in that fight.
I completely agree with that. I mean, I was speaking with Terrence Woodbury, and for those of you who don't know him from Hit Strategies, he's a terrific strategy person. And what he was saying is people are tired of Democrats defending the system because, as I've often said, the rule book is gone right now. And so they want an alternative for the pain that they are feeling. They want the pain to be acknowledged, but then they want an answer to their pain. When you look,
isn't it funny that they got this whole way to talk to us about acknowledging pain, but they never once suggested for a moment that the people who voted Trump in, that any of them were feeling any sort of pain. They were just racist and misogynist and sexist and idiots and horrible, disgusting domestic terrorist people. That's all they were. Garbage people. Remember, garbage. So that's interesting that now they're recognizing the hurt as if it's all Trump's fault. But I think that there is somewhat of a suggestion that there's an uproar in the Democratic Party, and they're kind of acknowledging it now. Convenient that they do it after 2 months after the election. Now it's like, oh, there's a restlessness in the Democratic Party. Not just that they hate Trumpers and they were given their instructions to hate half the country and they followed those instructions. But aside from that hate on half of the population and on the next Hitler, who's apparently in office right now, they're also upset at their own party. So there is an acknowledgement there. But this is how they trick us into getting out in the streets for a radical movement that ultimately is designed to fail. And mark my words, Bernie and AOC will fail, and it's not because they will mess up or make a mistake or something will go wrong. Their job is to fail. That's their instructions. Sheep herd people into the street, Pied Piper their asses away from a real movement, a real on-the-ground movement that's outside of the system, outside of the two-party duopoly or oligarchy, as it's so funny they're calling it an oligarchy that they're fighting when they're part of it. That's exactly what they're part of. We'll hear a little more of this.
Look at Bernie, his answer is tax the rich, tax the rich. When you look at Obama, his plan was bipartisanship. Let's work together so that we all feel less pain. Trump's was Project 2025. This is how we're going to do it. Democrats now want to know what is the Democratic plan. And if you look at the stats, 78% of Democrats want a fighting opposition party, not a minority party. They don't want business as usual. They want a fighting opposition party, and that's the majority of the country. And I think that's why AOC and Bernie are sort of packing these things. What I will say is I don't know that the message is correct. I think that their messaging is a little bit off if you look at what people want and are looking for, because cost and economy is still number one, and taxing the rich may not do that for the majority of people. They want to see much more of an action plan. How do you address my pain?
Yeah, and of course, that is going to be the excuse when the whole thing falls apart, is that they went too far left. That's going to be the excuse. Some people are figuring this out pretty late. You know, people like Bill Maher figured it out. He used to be the guy every single 4 years, do the same shit every single time. Say, we got to go middle. They're going too far left, too far radical left. No, you don't go middle. You have to find a real populist voice that can bring people together from both sides. That's not going middle. That's going down. That's a bottom up idea. And that's what this is really about. And nobody on mainstream media is ever going to tell you that. They're never going to tell you about a real bottom-up movement that doesn't come from the middle or the radical left or the radical right. You have to fight outside of that system from the bottom and push up, and you're going to get all the people from everyone. As we talk about on the show all the time, the homeless people. When you feel homeless from your tribe and you've had enough of it, we all can come together from the bottom and really push up and punch up and have a real movement. Bernie and AOC are not part of that. By any stretch of the imagination. In fact, as we talk about them going through this cycle again, and we know that Bernie is, 83, whatever. He's not necessarily gearing up for a strike number 3 this time. I don't fully believe he's going to do that, but he's going to support the AOC character. He's going to do the thing he has to do to repeat the cycle again. And there's going to be a lot of people that fall for this. I mean, this is why a lot of people showed up in Denver, and he's very excited. Oh, this is the biggest thing I've ever had. Well, I don't know if it is, but he's claiming that it's the biggest turnout he's ever had in his history of campaigning. I don't fully believe that. We used to go out to these things back in the day in 2015, 2016, just to hear in LA. And we I'd say we had 100,000 people at one of these events. He's saying 32, 35,000 is the most he's ever had. Okay. I mean, even if we overshot our number, it's got to be more than that. So whatever. He's pretending this is the biggest thing ever. But it's just going to be same old Bernie all over again. The same thing we've seen. He deliberately sabotages his own self. And nobody on the mainstream is going to tell you that. And that's why that is fake news. Now, there's one more thing I'm going to throw in here. Bernie's gotten a little more angry over the years. He's gotten a little more frustrated. He's exhausted. He's gone through this. So it's taking a toll on him, having to lie and be angry, pretend over and over, play this game. It's definitely wearing on him. This just happened. We saw this morning. I want you to watch his body language in this interview as he attempts to get up and leave because he's irritated. This isn't the first time we've seen him do this. He's walked away from very friendly journalists. He's yelled at people who are protesting the Ukraine war. He said, "Who do you work for? Who do you work for? Get him out of here." He's had people arrested at his rally. I don't think if you guys don't understand that, Bernie's had people arrested at his own rally. He's getting worse and worse as he gets older. And I think that I'm not going to say he's got the Joe Biden dementia, but he's got those characteristics of old man getting irritated very quickly, more than he used to. Watch him try and walk out of this interview. Why? Because the reporter's asking him if he supports AOC joining him in the Senate. Interesting that that's the trigger for him to get up. Watch this.
When I first came to the Congress and the House, I helped form the Progressive Caucus. We had 5 people in it at that time. Now they got close to 100. So you got a whole lot of good people. Alexandria is extraordinary. I am so impressed by her work in Congress and she inspires young people all over the country.
Would you like to see her join in the Senate?
Right now, we have, as I said, just a whole lot of people in the Congress. Okay, Jonathan, thanks.
Wait, I got one more. This is important.
Well, I asked you. Okay. You want to do nonsense? Do nonsense.
No.
I don't.
You want to do nonsense? Do nonsense. What a POS. Seriously, Bernie, what do you do nonsense? You're sounding like Trump a little bit there with your fake news. You're sounding a little bit like little Trump in you there, Bernie, the guy you hate, right? The guy you hate, you're projecting yourself. It's interesting. The guy you can't stand, the Trump derangement syndrome, constantly blaming Trump for everything. When you told us you were taking on the oligarchy, you were taking on the billionaire class, you were taking on big pharma. Now you're voting against RFK Jr., who's apparently going against big pharma. So you're doing everything the opposite. And then you're saying, oh, Joe Biden's my friend, all that shit. We've been through all this. So seriously, man, like you are sounding like Trump. You are sounding like a bait and switch situation on your own supporters and people that are asking you legitimate questions. What's wrong with this question? I don't understand. So yeah, let's we've seen enough of that. But I do have to say the Democratic Party does seem like they're in trouble. Yes, they have a plan about Bernie and AOC distracting us, but they do have a messaging problem. They do have a leadership problem. Who's going to be their next Hillary Clinton? Who's going to be their next demented Joe Biden? Who's going to be their next Kamala? Do they really need one of those? They do. They're going to have to come up with someone. In the meantime, what we have is this type of stuff coming out. Blasts from the past. Look at this. Joe Biden, this is from NBC News. The Bidens want back in. With the Democratic Party struggling to find a new direction, former President Joe Biden and former First Lady Jill Biden have offered to jump in and help with fundraising and rebuilding. Oh, good for them. Good for the Bidens. Helping the party that literally told them thanks, but no thanks. There's the door. That's interesting that he thinks this is his time. Hey guys, how can I help? How can I help? No, don't worry about it, Joe. Take a seat. In fact, why don't you lay down, kick your shoes off, put your feet up, and just chill out, dude. That's all we need from you. Just chill out. Oh, look, another blast from the past. Who do we got? Harris, widely favored to lead Dems in 2028. Poll shows. Wow. And we saw a poll last week of AOC being the number one choice of the Democrats for who they want to lead. So you got all these crazy ass polls. They're all ridiculous. These polls are all ridiculous because they're not asking the people the questions that they should be asking. They're giving them like multiple choice and all this shit. And you know how it goes. You're not going to get the real information from the voters if they're kind of forced into a question where they have to answer it. But it is interesting. This is the messaging that the mainstream media is. This is the garbage they're pushing. This is the garbage. Joe Biden helping out. Kamala is ahead in the polls. AOC is the number one choice. Yeah, it's very interesting. And then with Bernie doing his thing again. I mean, it's like fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. What is it when you get fooled a third time? I don't know if the saying goes that far. We have to come up with something. What's the third time you get fooled? Please don't be one of those people, guys. Don't be the third time fooled by Bernie. It's quite enough. Two's enough, guys. Let's not fall for this again. And that is Real Fake News Update, not brought to you by Pfizer.